Today you're going to hear a lot of honest opinions from YouTubers, but the truth may actually come from IGN. Wow, that's an opening statement. What is happening, Internet? Welcome back to the O1 channel, and today we're discussing the Suicide Squad killed the Justice League review or impressions that are happening because the embargo is up for select people. Now, full disclaimer, I have not played the game, nor have I had access to the alpha build, so WB can do bumpkiss to me. These are my honest opinions on what the news is. So, let's get into it. Now, just so you guys know, especially if you're a gamer, IGN is kind of the grading scale for video games for us gamers because we know how to actually read what their reviews are, because their reviews are basically two points of view. Either they love something, which means it's bad, or they hate something, which means it's good. But this time around, well, they have said really nothing. The only thing they said is, I don't like the game, but... In fact, their title is actually trying to get people who are on our side of the fence, of the fan base, that are very indecisive about, you know, whether to like or dislike the Suicide Squad game. So their review is actually trying to bait us, the informed viewers, that they are on our side, when in reality, they're taking a very middle ground approach, which is fine. But that middle ground approach is the most honest review that you are going to see today, because IGN actually made a pretty decent game review. And that to me is shocking, because the last time they did that, I was in my 20s. Anyway, so let's get into this. More or less, this poor author here, you know that they were told certain talking points because they went to the event on December 9th. And they also did more extensive hands-on with the game because they are a publication. Usually publications can get early access to the game much sooner than YouTubers or streamers because they're Game Press. That's just what Game Press does. It's not unheard of to have the game up to 3 weeks or even 2 weeks before release. This is a person that had, like, really long hands-on with the game. And that is what is going to be your saving grace for his review. So the review starts out mostly positive, saying the same things that we've heard constantly today. The influencers and the journalists love the story. They like some of the decisions with the story. They like the characters. They like being in Metropolis. And they like some aspects of the gameplay, mostly the takedowns. But then, what's very surprising to me is the fact that this journalist then goes not even that far into their review and starts saying story isn't very good. And you're like, whoa, wait a second. Let's back up the bus here. Didn't they open their review by saying they love the story and they are on board with the unique perspective of the villains? But here they are criticizing the story not far into their review. So what didn't this reviewer like about the story? The same thing that most fans don't like. He didn't like killing off the Justice League. It made him feel sad. He also was trying to be like, well, maybe there's context to this, or maybe there'll be time travel and there might be a way to resurrect them, or maybe it's multiverse, blah, 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 blah. So he's basically trying to, you know, go through the stages of grief like, you know, it might not actually happen this way, but it did happen this way, and I don't like it, but I can't say I didn't like it, for reasons. But he goes on and on and on to say that he's not okay with this change, when earlier on, he was praising the story and saying it's one of the best parts of the game, and here he is saying that the story is not one of the best parts of the game, it's one of the weakest, which is exactly what us fans have been saying for about 2 months now. Like, he actually starts to sound like a normal person, a person with a conscience, a person that, like, I'm not okay with this. This didn't make me feel right. And as I continued to play, chapter after chapter, it didn't make me feel any better. Then, at the beginning of the review, too, they also talked about the gameplay, how they enjoyed it, but here they are, later in their review, saying they don't like the gameplay. It's very boring. It's repetitive. He finds that the character banter, which he praised earlier, is very annoying. He doesn't like the characters, like, constantly talking when he's fighting. And it's very, for them, the reviewer, it was very confusing, and also it got, like, on his nerves. But earlier he was saying, no, 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 the banter is one of the best parts of the game. But you can't go and backpedal in your review and then say, wait a second, no, I don't like the banter. It's like, which is it? Where's the truth? Did you enjoy the banter, or are you just saying that for reasons and you really don't like the banter? It's like this back and forth with the reader, you know, as a tennis ball. It's very different for an IGN review, which is why I liked reading it. Because I was just like, okay, all right, so here's where the honesty is here. Like, you had the beginning of the review, maybe was written by the editor, and then you had this guy's honest thoughts, like, I didn't like this. Then they go in and they completely, like, obliterate the live service thing, just echoing things that fans have been saying. They're not comfortable with it. They don't like some of the choices. And, of course, the shills, I mean, the influencers are saying that the live service elements are fine. Everybody's overreacting. It's not going to be a big deal whatsoever. It's totally cool. People are just being haters. That's what you are. If you don't like this game, you're a hater. Shame on you. Because everything about this game that we got early access December 9th about is fine. This is going to be the best, looks at notes, Arkham game ever for 6 months. And then we're just going to go and, you know, support another game from another publisher. Probably Marvel game, who knows. But I noticed that they use the same type of overt praise for every project. And then a year later, you might actually find something that they didn't like about the game they covered. But you have to wait a year. Case in point, Gotham Knights. Some of them still say Gotham Knights is a great game and it's underrated. Some of them have kind of like on live streams, you know, let the mask off a little bit and said, yeah, you know, I didn't really like this, but we're not really going to talk about this because, you know, I stand by my original statement more or less. So that to me is always interesting. Like me, I've always said that Gotham Knights sucks. I've never changed my stance on it. My first playthrough, I was somewhat nice because I didn't want to get DMCA takedown. But my Let's Play with my wife, I was just, you know, I was back on crank to 11 mode where no filter. So there was filter in the first playthrough, no filter with my wife, no filter with the Red Hood, and no filter with New Game Plus. So that was all just complete blunt honesty. You know, sarcasm, witty, the kind of stuff that you guys expect from me when I'm brutally honest. That's what it was. But I watched some of these influencers' coverage of Gotham Knights, and just watching them, because they have live cam, like, you know, kind of sitting in their seat and moving back and forth, like, coming across a part of the game that they don't like, and maybe making, like, a raised eyebrow or something, but they never say anything. You know, you can tell that they don't like something, but they can't say it. They know that, you know, as an ambassador, there are certain requirements that you have to adhere to. You just have to. So being critical of the game is kind of how you get kicked out of, you know, that influencer or ambassador program. It happened to me. It's happened to other people. If you're too critical, that's, you know, kind of like shaky ground for the developer. You can be critical, but you have to be very sneaky about it, especially with your wording. So this review, I loved it because it's sneaky and also it's truthful. It's not like outright, oh, I hate this game and all this other stuff, which people are like, if IGN hates this game, that means it's going to be great. But that's not what the review says. The review, like, shows a completely different perspective that is not really something IGN does. It goes back and forth between the author's, like, honest opinions, which is kind of the negativity, but then they start praising something else. So it's like they say something they don't like, but then they switch it up and they go, like, back into the praise section when there's supposed to be a praise section and a con section. That's what makes it easy for a reader when you're a game journalist. You have points that it's easy to follow as you read, but this guy's points go all over the place. Because, you know, honestly, either his editor didn't really look at it anything more than probably the first paragraph or two, you know, just going over, I like this, I like this, I like this. And then as you go on throughout, like, the section, it becomes kind of like a spaghetti mess. Because it goes all over the place. It's like, you have praise and you have criticism, like, literally, like, so close to each other. And there's supposed to be structure in these journalist reviews. That's how the companies do things. And there's no structure. It's utter chaos. It's amazing. Now, I don't know if they're going to pull and edit this review later, but this original review is great. It chastises the Poison Ivy thing. It is very upset about aspects of the story. It's especially killing off the Justice League. They don't like that, which they prove the leaks. Like, right there, they prove that killing off the Justice League and the emotional impact that these people had, that they didn't like it and they didn't like how these characters went out, that's a problem for them. That's all the quote-unquote haters like myself have been saying. We don't like how some of these characters are killed off. It's stupid. This journalist is also doing that same mentality. I don't like that they're doing this. I don't agree with this. You know, that's just basically what the main issue with the game has been. The gameplay, everybody knows, it's just going to be kind of like a basic Sunset Overdrive DC, universe shooter thing. I mean, it's just kind of that type of game. It's to be expected. It's going to be a very average, kind of third-person shooter. The story is what people were the most concerned about, and the story is proven to be something that is going to be a problem. And that's funny to me because, more or less, we're correct. And, the rest of the review, they just kind of go all over the place, So yeah, I mean, everybody is kind of echoing that same mentality about live service. That's to be expected. Not everyone is on board with that, and fans have a right to be kind of, hesitant with that, because it's not a direction that a lot of people want to go with their superhero games. What I find interesting about some of the YouTube videos that I watched, they're more or less their honest opinions are kind of like watching a Let's Player be honest. And when a Let's Player does their first episode of a series, well, they're just kind of commentating about what's happening in the game. So they're not really giving you any honest feedback about what their initial reaction is. They're just playing the game and, having fun doing that. But it's not really like a first impressions. It's more like, okay, this is an LP. Now, if it was something critical, they could get in serious trouble, like I did when I covered Arkham Origins. And during my playthrough, the character fell through the world, and I commented on it, and I got in trouble, but Batman was falling through the world, and then, I had to re-upload my video, and I hired a voice actor friend to be like, whoops, looks like we're experiencing technical difficulties, and then, the game went right back to how it was. But if you go back and you watch that episode, there's a freeze frame where the game freezed, and in reality it didn't freeze. I took a screenshot because Batman fell through the world, and my video had to be approved in order to post, because I was a pretty big YouTuber back then. So I had to go through and re-edit that out so that people didn't see, the game breaking at release. Now, later playthroughs, they didn't care. I showed all kinds of bugs. I continue to show bugs. But that particular bug wasn't okay to show, and I had to come up with, they wanted me to replay the game. It's I'm not doing that. I'm going to do this. And it came out funny, and, the game still looked like it froze, but, I had to cleverly find a way of fixing that. And I did. So that's, how I approach things. I like to do things with, kind of a humorous approach. Because usually, the most painful things you can say to people, if you do it with a smile and a little bit of humor, it's not so bad, right? So, more or less, I enjoyed this review. It was fun to read, and if you guys want me to read some more reviews about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, let me know in the comment section below. Because basically Warner Brothers is on the warpath, I'm going to have to be very careful about what footage I use, so this will just have Arkham Knight stuff again. I can't show any footage because, this video will get DMCA'd because it's not a favorable video. But we'll be discussing more about the story for Suicide Squad in the coming weeks because, more or less, the leakers were correct and fans are not happy, along with some press, where the story is going. Anyway, now I want to hear from you guys and gals. How do you feel about today's big, truthful, honest opinion about the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League videos that are circulating throughout YouTube, as well as reviews? Are you on the same page with the influencers and the journalists? Or are you still kind of well, I don't really know what to think about this game, and there are aspects of it that I still don't like, and I don't feel any better? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks, guys, so much for watching. I have to jump off now because, well, I have a lot of stuff to do, as well as, we do manage the Let's Play channel a lot, so I gotta go. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Until we meet again, God bless, happy gaming. I'll be seeing you with more news in the world of Batman soon.